Animesh Bisen, a fourth year undergraduate at Thakur University, Patiala, and an upcoming analyst at one of the top consulting firms in this world. Today, we have someone who started a brand way back in 2013, and as we are speaking, his brand is synonymous to pop culture in India. I'm talking about Mr. Harsh Lal, the co founder of Soul Store, and on this podcast, he'll be sharing his journey of creating Soul Store. So, let's go to the video. So, welcome to the podcast. It's a great honor to have you over here. Thank you for taking out
Thank you
time.
so much, Animesh.
Yes, sir.
Most welcome, Animesh. Really happy to be here as well.
So, sir, we'll start by something about you. As a matter of fact, I know that you have been a science student in your 11th and 12th. Then you went on to do graduation in law. Then, in your last semester of law, you did an internship in journalism. Then you started doing a job in advertising industry for 1 year. Then a totally different industry in tattooing for 6 months, and then went back again to law for 1 year. And then you started Soul. So, sir, what was the story behind it? I mean, what is the story behind it? ये सब कैसे हुआ, and were you figuring it out, or what was going in your mind?
Okay, I think firstly, congratulations because you've done a very thorough research on my CV and my job experience. But if I have to give you a short, simple answer on why I've tried so many different things, I think it was simply because I am someone who will get bored very easily if I don't like what I'm doing. I have to be excited. If I'm excited, I'll give my 200%. If I'm not excited, I'm always going to give 60-70% जो भी minimum है काम चलाने के लिए, right? So I was very clear that I am not going to settle. I did science in the 11th and 12th because I got good marks in the 10th, 11th and 12th. If you take science, you have more options after that. उसके बाद there were three options, right? Law, medicine and engineering. These are the three standard options available. So engineering I eliminated because I was like attendance compulsory hai. I'm not going to end up doing it. Medicine I eliminated because I didn't like biology. So I'm like, chalo, let's try law. So that was honestly the reason why I tried law. I was not passionate about it. When I was doing my 5 years at GLC, I did lots of internships as well with various law firms just to understand what is life like as a lawyer, right? Because when you're studying at a college, it doesn't give you that complete practical experience. It doesn't tell you exactly what life is going to be like. And when I was doing those internships and I saw some of my seniors, I realized कि ये मेरे लिए नहीं है, right? It's not something that I am cut out for. It's not something I'll be happy doing for the rest of my life. So in my last semester at GLC, when a lot of my friends, a lot of my colleagues are doing their internships and they're looking to get their pre-placement offers for, life after GLC. At that time, I decided to completely switch and do a journalism internship where I had absolutely no experience. But the idea was this seems interesting, it seems fun. So, if it's something that I can work out as a career, it'll be something interesting to explore because law though I was 100% sure कि ये करना ही नहीं है. So I did an internship with BBC for 2 months. I worked with their radio and their TV team. It was a lot of fun. It was a completely new experience. Got to learn a lot of fun stuff. Worked with a lot of senior journalists. But I realized that journalism is a very interesting field. But one of the first things I was told is it does not pay very well. So that's one of the reasons I decided to try something else out. And then I got an advertisement internship after GSC. So again, at this time, everyone is starting off their career. Everyone is starting off their first full-time job after law. And I, after 5 years of graduating and after getting 2 degrees, I'm going back and doing an internship in a completely new field, right? So the idea was advertising seems fun, and I want to work on a couple of interesting campaigns. And I was always interested in copywriting. Like language is something I've been good at. I always like looking at interesting ad campaigns. So I did an internship where I focused on copywriting. Now, fortunately or unfortunately, my boss really liked my work, but he said, I want you to work in client servicing with me because that advertising firm was starting a separate company. So I told him, I'm like, I've joined advertising because I really like copywriting. I like the creative part of stuff. I'm not a fan of client servicing. So he said, give it 6 months. I think you're going to do well. If you don't like it after 6 months, you can leave, but I want you to give it a shot. So I did give it a shot for 6 months. It was interesting, but not something that I was super excited about. And at this point in time, I finished 1 year of graduation and I need to figure out what do I do in life, right? Ki bahut experiment kar liya. Now, what are you going to actually do with your life? So I took some time off and I told myself, what do you really, really like doing, right? If you had that one opportunity of mixing what you love and making a career out of it, what would that perfect balance be? And somehow I got this insane idea that tattooing is the solution to all of my life's problems. Now I've loved tattooing since I was a kid. I have 3 tattoos myself. I've chosen the positions very smartly so you can't really see them. But I was like, let's try tattooing, right? If this is something I can make a career out of, it's going to be one of those dream jobs. So I took up a 6 month internship at a tattoo studio. It was actually one of the most interesting periods of my life. Get to meet so many people, get to work on a lot of stuff. The smallest of things that you suggest to a client has a permanent impact on them. And it was a lot of hard work as well, because when you're making sure that the environment is safe, the environment is hygienic, the environment is clean. There's a lot of work and effort that goes behind making sure that you're actually giving the clients a good service. So that was a really interesting 6 months. But I realized that enjoying getting tattoos and actually being good at it and making a career out of it are two completely separate things. And I am probably cut out for getting more tattoos but not creating more tattoos. So at that point in time, I decided to go back to law. I needed some sort of stability in my life. And I realized I've got a degree, I've got good marks in GLC, I've got a couple of internships also. So maybe this is a safe bet to go back to, because when you're 22, 23, you need to start having some sort of stability in your career. So I go back to law for a year. I am obviously not excited about it, but you need to do something to pay the bills. You need to do something to make sure that you have that sort of stability happening. And luckily at that point, even my three co-founders today were also doing their first job. They in fact all met at the first job together at the same financial services firm. So all four of us used to keep talking about how we're not happy doing what we are. We want to do something that we are actually excited about doing. And that's when the idea for the Soul Store really came up, and we decided to leave our jobs and actually follow our passion and do something that we love. So yeah, it's been a long journey. It's been an interesting journey, but I'm happy to say that it's now been about 8.5, 9 years since we all took that decision. And it's a decision that we could not be more happy about taking.
Got it, sir. Sir, are all these experiences of your life helping you in shaping Soulsur as in the tattooing experience or the advertising experience?
No, 100%, right? I think, to be very honest, when I was doing all of those different things, right, I went through a lot of confusion. I went through a lot of frustration at times. I'm trying so many different things. Why am I not liking one thing? You read so much about people talking about their passion, people talk about changing their passion into their career. And I'm like, is it actually that easy, or do a lot of people like me struggle to find that passion? So there were a lot of times when I was wondering. You see a lot of other people who have taken up a job, or you see people who from school know कि अच्छा मुझे बड़े बन के डॉक्टर बनना है, right? So they'll do everything step by step, and you wonder, why don't I have that clarity? But the one thing that I made sure I did is, when I was trying these 5, 6, 7 different things, I made sure that I give it my 200%. Because if I'm trying tattooing today, or I'm trying journalism, or I'm trying advertising, if I give it my 200%, if I give it my best shot, then I will at least understand ki, is this meant for me? Is this not meant for me? But if I'm going to try something out, if I'm not going to give it my 100%, then I'm not really ever going to know ki, was journalism the right thing? Was tattooing the right thing? Was law the right thing? So I think step number one to anyone listening is, when you're young, when you're in college, or you're just graduating from college, you still have time to experiment. You can try different internships. Now there are so many online courses as well. So definitely make sure that you are trying out multiple things. Even if you don't end up doing it right, it will give you direction कि this is not meant for you. I think a lot of people have this fear कि मेरे CV पे कैसे लगेगा if I've tried 4 or 5 different things. And I think as a startup that hires so many people, I actually look at it as a positive, where if I'm comparing 2 or 3 similar candidates, if one candidate has actually experienced multiple different roles or multiple different fields of work, I think that candidate has a much more well-rounded personality, and they're able to adapt a lot better. So I've actually picked up some very interesting things, Animesh. When I was working at a law firm and I did my legal internships, I think every single day at the Soul Store, everything involves a contract. Whether we're signing new licenses, we're working with new manufacturers, we're signing a new offline store, we're signing the rent for a new office. Every single thing that you do involves paperwork. And I think that experience, it just becomes so much easier when you have one person who understands the business and the legal aspect of it. It also helps us save a lot of money instead of hiring lawyers to look at agreements. When you have someone in-house, it saves you money. Um, at tattooing, at that point, I never thought that what I'm learning today is ever going to be of any use to me in my career later. But in those 6 months, I must have spent at least 70 or 80% of my time sitting alone in a corner, just cleaning the equipment, right? People think that tattooing is going to be a lot of fun. You're going to meet a lot of people. You're going to be doing insane tattoos, but you don't actually get to tattoo on anyone for the first 4 or 5 months, obviously, because it's such a big risk, right? So for the first 4 or 5 months, you're only practicing sketching on paper, you're practicing on fake rubber, and you spend most of your time just sitting in the corner cleaning the equipment. Now at that time, it was really, really boring. It's really frustrating because I kept thinking, ki, Acha, if I learn tattooing, it's going to be glamorous, it's going to be sexy, it's going to be fun. I didn't think that on a Saturday evening when my friends are going out and having fun, I'm going to be sitting in a room and cleaning equipment, right? But I think that hard work and that dedication, right? Ki, hygiene is important, safety is important. Until you are 100% sure, you cannot take a shortcut. I think that focus and that willingness to grind and hard work definitely something I learned at tattooing. What I also learned out there was client servicing and negotiation, because at that point you are convincing someone to make a permanent change to their body. And I think if you can convince someone to do that, it's a lot easier to sell t-shirts to someone, right? So I think tattooing definitely was a very, very interesting stint. Advertisement and journalism, again, copywriting, marketing, working with so many different clients, negotiating, just understanding so many different industries, understanding how so many different campaigns come together, from the client servicing team to the client team to the marketing team. I think that entire ecosystem of how things work is something that I put into practice every single day at the Soul Store. And I think now in hindsight, it's very easy for me to say that all of these things did work out eventually. But there were times when I was doing them, I'm like, iska kya fayda hoga, right? So for everyone thinking that will this internship make a difference to my life 5 years down the line, if you give your 200% to what you are doing, you will definitely pick up something. You will definitely learn something which indirectly or directly will help you in future. So I don't think knowledge is ever wasted. I don't think learning is ever wasted, and there's always some use that you can put this knowledge into 3 4 5 years down the line when you start something of your own.
Okay, sir. So also one more thing on a personal note. I mean, when you were switching all these careers, I know there must be few people who must have been saying कि यार ये क्या कर रहा है ना? Or you are playing with your life. So what do they? I mean, those people say now. अब उनका क्या कहना है? I mean, you started Soul Store in 2013. It's 2022 right now, and Soul Store is doing very good. So what do they say right now?
So to be honest, I've been fortunate where I've gotten a lot of support from my friends and family. I've not had to deal with too many situations where people are saying, "Log kya kahenge? What are you doing? Ye wo jo bhi hai." And I think having that support of friends and family made it a lot easier. Because when you're going through your early 20s and you're not sure, ki, what am I doing with my life? What is my next step going to be? When there are anyway so many questions that you are asking yourself, the last thing that you need is for more people to add to that doubt. So I think what definitely helps is surrounding yourself with people who will help you out. Ki in a worst case, if something doesn't work out, these people are always there to support you. And I think having that safety net, having that cushion really, really gives you a lot more confidence, and it gives you a lot more willpower and support when you're going through tough times and you're questioning a lot of your own decisions.
Got it, sir. So, what were the values which you kept in mind while starting Soul Store, and also have you guys pivoted from those values, or do you still stick to them?
So I think values is something that ideally a value, something that should not be pivotable, right? Because if it's a pivotable value, then it's not really a value to begin with. It's just a convenient motto for the next 2 years. So I think the most important value that we started the Soul Store with, or the main reason we started the Soul Store, was to do what you love doing, right? All four of us had that one thing in common, that we didn't like our first job. We all had savings from our first job. Now, either we could make these savings work for us and we could start our own company and we could have a lot of fun doing what we want. And if this company did not succeed, we knew we had to go back to doing our day jobs, right? So I think that was motivation enough for us to keep pushing through the tough times. And we wanted to make sure that when we are creating a culture, we are creating an environment at the Soul Store, people should actually enjoy coming to work. They should actually look forward to coming to work. Because we've seen that when you're not fully motivated, when you're not enjoying what you're doing now, you're always going to give your 50-60%. बस काम चलाने के लिए काम करना है, right? So we did not want to have people coming in who are giving their 50-60%. We wanted people who are coming in, they are excited to work, they're having fun at work, and they're giving their 200% because they genuinely enjoy doing what they are able to do. And I think having a great team, having a motivated team, is one of the core reasons behind the success that we've seen over the last 8-9 years. In fact, when people ask me, what are you most proud about? What I am most proud about is the fact that the first 4 or 5 people who joined the Soul Store, right, who were our first team members, who took a very, very big gamble with their careers, joining 4 young people with no experience, no external funding. Those 4 or 5 people are still a part of our organization today. All those 4 or 5 people took up TSS as their first job. They've all become managers now. And in fact, our warehouse manager, Amit, I want to give a shout out to him. He today is managing more than 200 people. He manages more people than all 4 co-founders combined. And I think for me, that is something that I am most proud of, that he took a chance with us back in 2013. We took a chance with him back in 2013 because we both saw the passion. And today he's leading a team of more than 200 people. He handles our entire warehouse operations. So I think for me, that is something that I am most proud about. And I think that value will not change even when we go from 500 people to 1,000 people to 2,000 people. I think creating a fun environment is something that we will always keep as priority number one, and everything else follows from there.
Got it, sir. So now switching on to pricing and branding. So what are your views on price point and branding? Because there are few companies which brand themselves as the cheapest one in their respective domain and spaces, and then there are company like yours which don't talk too much about the prices, and but they rather choose to position themselves something which is more associated with values, memories, and traditions.
No, for sure. I think great question, Animesh. Um, we have never claimed and we would never want to position ourselves as the cheapest brand available. I don't think that adds value to the customers. And if we've learned anything over the last 2.5 years, so many things have changed after the pandemic. People are not looking for the cheapest product. I think there's a misconception that if you want to succeed online, you have to keep giving discounts and you have to keep slashing prices if you want to win. I think that's a very, very big misconception that a lot of online players have today. If you really want to create a space for yourself in a crowded online market, you have to offer value to the customers. The customers are looking at products which give them maximum value and not the cheapest product. So if you're able to convince a customer that for the price point you're selling a product at, you're going to give great quality, great products, great designs, and great service, the customer is much more likely to be loyal to you. Now, if you just scroll through your social media feeds for 5 or 10 minutes, you will be spammed by 10, 15, 20, maybe even more ads of different companies trying to sell you the same thing, right? And at a point when the market is so cluttered, at a point where it's so easy for a new company to just come in and start a website, there are so many plug and play options. You want to start a website, you have simple plug and play options. You want to start your own warehouse, you don't have to invest. There are courier companies that will give you customized solutions for warehousing plus shipping, right? You have so many plug and play solutions for payment gateways. So it's, if you want to start an e-commerce company, today is the easiest time to start a company, but today is also the toughest time to actually convince a customer that your product is worth it, because there are so many options. And if your only positioning or your only USP is that you are cheaper than your competitor, then tomorrow someone is going to come with a larger war chest of money. Someone is going to undercut your prices and take away your customers. So if you want customers to be loyal to price, then I don't think they're ever going to stick to you. But if you can ensure the best possible service and the best possible products, then that is when your customers are actually going to stay loyal to you. And that's when you can actually fight off the competition that keeps coming up day in and day out.
Got it, sir. So adding on to this, Soul Store has a repeat rate of somewhere around 110%, which is something to be proud of. So could you please tell us that how do you maintain that and what is repeat rate so that our viewers come on the same page?
So our repeat rate is about 110%, 120%, in fact, now in 6 months. What that basically means is that if I've gotten 100 new orders today from different customers, those 100 orders would add another 110 orders themselves in the next 6 months. So if I'm not spending money marketing and acquiring new customers, the customers that I am acquiring today are going to repeat. If I get 100 orders today, I'm going to get 110 additional orders in the next 6 months only from these new customers. Now, in the online space, in the e-commerce space, making customers loyal to your brand, making sure that they are sticky, making sure that they want to come back again and again to your brand, when there are so many new options, there are so many cheaper options, there are so many different options, is the biggest challenge that online brands face. One of the biggest costs of an online brand or running an e-commerce store is your customer acquisition, which is the amount of money you need to spend getting a customer to try your product for the first time. That's one of the most expensive costs in running an e-commerce store. And the only way it makes sense for me to spend that money today and acquire Animesh as a customer is if I know that if I'm investing this money today, Animesh is going to come back again and again and again. And the total lifetime value that I will get from Animesh as a long-term customer will justify the money that I'm spending today. What happens today is a lot of people have very high customer acquisition costs. I'm spending a lot of money getting you to my website. I'm spending a lot of money discounting my products to convince you to buy on my website. But tomorrow, when you see a cheaper brand or you see a different brand, you don't come back again to my website, right? So all that money that I've burnt today to acquire Animesh is actually money that's been wasted. Now, how do we differentiate ourselves? Like I said, great designs, but more importantly, great service. At a time where there are so many online options, it's important to make sure that customers have that trust, they have that comfort shopping online with you, making sure that your product quality is always top notch, so that if I'm buying from a website, I don't feel like मैंने online खरीदा है मुझे कुछ और मिला, right? I think that is very, very important. Making sure that we are doing customer call outs day in and day out to understand कि उनका क्या feedback है, how do we improve our services. And then obviously, in the last couple of years, we've also gone from online to offline. We've started 6 offline stores. So 5 are live. The sixth one is going to go live in the next 1 month. And I think when customers can actually enter your store, they can actually experience your products. They can actually experience the TSS vibe. I think that also adds a lot of legitimacy. It adds a lot of credibility to the brand and overall increases the experience. So I think you have to realize that as a customer or as a brand, rather, your customer has many choices. And if you're not able to wow them again and again, you're not able to innovate continuously, you're going to lose your customer very, very fast. So think of it like running on a treadmill at full pace. You can't stop, right? The treadmill is going to keep coming. New choices are going to keep coming. And unless you're able to continuously innovate at that speed, you're going to get left behind.
Got it, sir. So speaking of the offline stores, so as a matter of fact, I know that many companies are making their offline stores as mini warehouses so that they can ramp up the delivery process and we can get the
Yes.
delivery in the shortest time possible. So is the Soul Store also doing the same?
Yes, that is definitely a part of our plan to optimize. So I actually want to take a minute here, Animesh, and tell you why we went offline in the first part, and I think then I'll discuss the deliveries as well. So for an online brand like us, a lot of people told us, why will you go offline? Rents are expensive, the cost of doing up a store, the headache of managing a store. You would rather spend that money online and acquire more customers, right? So everyone told us that most offline brands are now shifting online. You guys are doing the complete opposite. Doesn't make sense. You're going to burn money. Don't do it, right? For us, our logic was very simple. We wanted to have a permanent billboard. We wanted to have permanent branding at a top location in the city. And we started with Bombay because that's where our office and our operations are based. So our logic was, if this store of ours can break even also, it's great for us, because a billboard is only, you're going to pay money for a billboard to get eyeballs. Here, if you start an offline store, you get a billboard, but that billboard is actually making money for you as well, right? You can create an experience for customers can come and interact with the brand, they can touch and feel the products before they buy them, and you can actually make money from the store. So the first store was definitely a bit of a risk for us. It was a gamble for us. We did not know, we had no experience in running an offline store. We did not know what to expect. Now, within the first 3 months itself, our store did phenomenally well. We were surprised with the response that we got. And we actually recovered our entire expense of doing up the store within the first 3 months itself, which is unheard of. Companies usually have a 15 to 18 to 24-month time period to recover the money. We were able to do that in 3.5 months. So we realized that customers are going to love our brand if we come up in a place which has high visibility and high footfall. The footfalls, if they take care of themselves, conversions will happen, people will end up shopping, and the stores will make money. After our first store, we actually started 4 more stores during the pandemic, and during the worst months of the lockdown, we were able to either break even and make money, right? So that gave us a lot of confidence, and today we have 6 offline stores. We're going to open another 50 stores in the next 3 to 4 years. And yes, we want our stores to serve as an experience zone for customers. We want our stores to serve as permanent branding in top locations in some of the top cities in the country. And yes, our stores will also function as warehouses. So if you are sitting in Bangalore or Delhi or Chennai or Bombay or any other city, and there is an offline store located close to your house, you can spend an additional amount and get that product delivered within 2 to 3 hours. So exactly what some brands are doing for groceries, we want to disrupt that and do that for fashion. And it's something that's essentially going to change the game completely. So yes, that's a very important part of our plans going forward, and that just makes our offline stores so much more efficient. it makes sure that we are able to derive so much more value from our offline spaces.
So talking about shipping, so I also know that Soul Store has a very unique shipping process, as in it's very different from others. You people rotate the staff in every 12 hours or something like that. So could you please throw some light on
Yes.
that?
Yes. So I think, Animesh, firstly, congratulations. From all the interviews and podcasts that I've done, I think this is probably the most well researched for sure. So I feel like you've answered a lot of my questions before I can. But yes, we have two shipping shifts rather. We want to make sure that if you're ordering a product, say today in the afternoon, we don't want to wait for 24 hours before we ship our product and then it takes another 1 or 2 days to reach you. Because today, as a customer, when I'm spoiled for choice, when I can just go order product online and expect it to be delivered within 1 day or 2 days, the one thing that kills the customer experience is waiting for your product, right? You've seen an ad, you're really excited, you want to buy that t-shirt, you're waiting for that product to come, and then you're looking at your phone ki kabhi aayega, kabhi aayega. I think when that excitement dies, that's when most people end up canceling the orders or returning the order, or they accept the order but they're not as excited about the experience, right? So we work in multiple shifts so that even if you're ordering a product in the evening today, it's going to get picked up at night by the courier service and you can again ship it tomorrow, right? So we are essentially trying to cut short the time. We're working with multiple courier partners to make sure that they can pick up the products in multiple shifts. We've also made sure that we are now keeping our warehouse open 24 hours. So we're in fact going to be shifting from 2 shifts to 3 shifts so that the timeline between you ordering a product, that product being packed and shipped and actually being delivered to you is being further and further minimized. And we want to make sure that if we are able to give customers that great shipping experience, that great overall shopping experience, they are going to have more and more reasons to come back again to the Soul Store.
Wonderful. So speaking about the inventory, how do people deal with the dead inventory? Because no matter how good the product is, there's going always going to be some dead inventory. So how do people deal
Yes.
with that?
So I think, Animesh, not just with inventory, I think with almost any decision that is taken at the Soul Store is heavily data driven. From we've built our own manufacturing app, we've built our own supply chain app in house to make sure that your ordering process is as efficient and as lean as possible. So what we essentially do is we've created our in-house manufacturing app, which keeps changing the priority of products. So if I know that this product is selling better and the opportunity loss is higher if this product is sold out, then I'm automatically going to prioritize that product car manufacturing over any other product. The second thing that we do is we have obviously customer history of the last 7 or 8 years. We understand certain products that are going to do well, certain products that are not going to do well. So we bifurcate our inventory, we bifurcate our order between in-house manufacturing and outsourced manufacturing. And the biggest advantage that we have with our in-house manufacturing is that there's a lot more flexibility. So tomorrow, when a brand works with a lot of external vendors, you do not have flexibility to demand terms. I cannot tell an external vendor that this t-shirt is selling faster. I want you to keep other stuff on hold and give me this first. They are always going to prioritize कि उनके लिए क्या practical है, उनके लिए क्या cost efficient है. But when you have your own in-house manufacturing, you have complete control over what product you want to manage when. So that actually helps us reduce the number of stockouts. That also helps us make sure that we are not very heavily invested in inventory where tomorrow if a product does not sell, you are stuck. So having that flexibility, having that agility means you do not have to overorder at any point in time. It also means that if a product is doing much better than we expected, we can actually turn around that product a lot faster than our competitors can. And we can make sure that if I expected this t-shirt to sell 5,000 pieces, for example, and is going to sell 10 or 15 or 20,000 pieces, then I have the flexibility, I have the speed, and I have the capacity to actually manufacture those extra 10, 15,000 pieces and give it to the customers without the product being sold out. So I think tech, regular customer feedback, and agility of manufacturing is what helps us keep our inventory as lean as possible. And in fact, dead inventory is one of the reasons we've seen about 90-95% of apparel brands shutting down, especially when it comes to your offline first brands, right? You have your inventory present in multiple stores, multiple shop in shops across the country. You do not get real-time data on what is selling, what do customers like, what do customers not like, what kind of price points work. And by the time you get those learnings for one entire season, your one entire season worth of inventory is stuck, and then you're trying to make those, trying to avoid those mistakes in the next season. But the advantage of being an online brand is you get feedback pretty quickly when people like something, especially when people don't like something. I think people are very quick, very loud, and very vocal in telling you what they expect from the brand. And I think that really, really helps us understand what customers want and actually give them what they want.
So, sir, let's deep dive into this apparel industry. I just wanted to know that how does this whole process of creating and designing the apparel works? So, let's say, I'm an amateur. I don't know anything about this particular industry. So, according to me, there can be two possible instances. One is like, let's say, three, four celebrity wear something they posted on social media. That
Mhm.
become trending, demand is created, and you put the supply in. Or it can be that you design your own product based upon your experience, that and then you market those products through your website or through any possible medium, and then the demand is created, and then you put in the supply.
Got it. So Animesh, we actually currently work with the second model, where we have more than 150 licenses and partnerships. We worked with DC, we work with Marvel, we work with Harry Potter. We're working with 6 IPL teams this season. We work with a couple of football clubs as well. So all of those products are designed in house, and we also have our own originals, right? Like this plain T-shirt which I'm wearing. This again is something that we've created on our own, right? So what we normally do, Animesh, is we have designs that we create based on customer demand, based on past data. We then tie up with a lot of these celebrities and influencers to promote the Soul Store in general as a brand, to promote the designs that we anyway have. But the next step of ours, or the next sort of phase of growth of ours, is definitely going to be collaborations with celebrities to create their own merchandise. And I think a great example of this is what Hrithik Roshan has done with HRX. A lot of celebrities have tried that at smaller scale. Some have succeeded, some have not. But I think HRX is a great example of how you can actually create something with a celebrity and really, really make sure that that brand goes beyond the celebrity itself, right? The celebrity is one part of the overall perception of the brand. And we are talking to a couple of celebrities to create something very, very interesting with them. And hopefully, in the next couple of months, you'll see a few announcements on our social media channels.
It's a good to know that. So talking about all this designing, so how do people keep your creativity quotient high? Because सबका saturation point कभी ना कभी तो आ ही जाता है कि your mind just get blocked and you are just revolving around the same point. So how do you keep up with that?
So I think the one of the reasons we've managed to get where we have is every person at the Soul Store is a fan themselves. From the designers to the marketing team to the customer care team to the operations team, everyone is a fan of some character, some property that we sell. And again, when you're excited about doing something, when there is a personal sort of agenda driving your work, there is always going to be fun, right? And I think it's for our designers also, it's a great opportunity because they've grown up watching these superhero movies, these cartoons, these TV shows. They've grown up following all of these cricketers, watching their favorite wrestlers. And I think when they actually get to work on these things, more than a burnout or more than reaching a saturation point, I think for them it's a privilege, it's a flex, right? They can tell their friends and their colleagues from college, look at all the cool things that I get to work on. I'm getting to work on images and creatives with all of these big celebrities as well. So I think the kind of work that we do at the Soul Store actually motivates our people. It excites them. And when you have that passion and that excitement towards what you're doing, you're always going to create great products and great collaterals. And yeah, I think we are lucky to have a fantastic design team, super motivated, super excited. And yeah, I think shout out to them for making sure they're always able to come out with fresh, cool, interesting designs and you never feel like, अरे ये तो देखा है पहले.
So now, sir, since you spoke about sustainability, I will like if you can give us a walkthrough about your packaging. I mean, you people have a zero plastic packaging. So what motivated you to do that, and what was the thought process behind that?
Cool. So we're actually at about a 98% now, almost at 100. We don't want to claim we're at 100 till we're at 100 because again, right, the idea is not to do something for PR or to put out a fake number just to show off that we're doing something. We would rather do it first and then talk about it. So we have over the last couple of years made a very conscious decision to move away from plastic packaging. And I think this is especially important in the e-commerce space. You have so many brands coming up as online first brands. Almost all of them use plastic packaging. Now, yes, it is cheap. Yes, it is durable. Yes, it is a very practical packaging material to use from a brand's point of view because of the kind of volumes, the kind of scale, and the kind of cost efficiency it brings. But from the environment's point of view, if you think about it, Every time you order a product, you get it in a plastic packet. You literally tear open the plastic packet. You're excited about getting your product. That product is then again in one more layer of plastic, and you end up throwing all of these things that you will absolutely never reuse it. So we made a conscious decision a couple of years ago to gradually shift from plastic packaging to recycled packaging. Another couple of things that we do is, in the apparel industry, especially when you are creating any garment, there's a lot of fabric that gets wasted when you are cutting it. So we actually recycle all of the additional fabric which would have normally literally just been thrown and been become useless. We actually recycle that. We work with a couple of NGOs that use this fabric to create cloth bags and other products which we can also then further sell. So we are supporting a couple of NGOs that work with rural women. It gives them employment. We're able to make use of this additional fabric as well. And the third interesting thing that we had done is, last year, when we worked with IPL teams, all the jerseys that we made with the IPL teams were actually made from recycled plastic. Now, a stage or a platform that's as big as the IPL is a great place to actually raise awareness about sustainability. It's a great place to inform people that these are some of the steps that we are doing to create a more sustainable environment. And again, as a brand at our stage, looking at some of the things that we have, especially in the last 2 to 3 years, I think it's important for every brand to realize that yes, it's important to make money. Yes, it's important for a brand to be profitable, but I don't think profitability and sustainability are mutually exclusive. I think as a brand, if you decide, consciously that there are certain things that you want to change, there are enough of options available for us today to make sure that you can be a sustainable brand while also being a profitable brand. And I hope everyone listening to this podcast realizes that it's not an either or. It's not a question of I can either be sustainable or I can be profitable. And if you really, really set your mind to something, I think you can figure a way of making both of them work out for you.
Got it, sir. So now, since we are at the end of the podcast, I would like to hear a story. If you allow, anything about your initial days at Source Store, about you and your co-founders, any interesting story revolving around that same space?
I think more than a story, I think one general sort of um, feedback I'd like to give a lot of people who just started off or who are planning to start off, on how the whole journey is or how the whole journey will pan out. I think that's something I'd like to talk about, because when you read the papers, when you look at various articles on your phone, you only look at billion-dollar fundings and big payouts and IPOs and so many million customers. You look at all the fun metrics, you look at all of the the big numbers, and it looks really fun and exciting and easy. But I think when you actually start off, what we realized was the first 1 month was great for us, because a lot of our friends and family were really excited. Hey, I know someone who started their own company. There are cool t-shirts, there are funny t-shirts. I'm definitely going to buy it. I'm definitely going to tell my friends about it. So I think there's a lot of excitement, there's a lot of pride and happiness amongst our friends and family. So the first 1 month was great, right? Everyone is ordering. Everyone wants to support you, right? So you'll buy one t-shirt, you'll tell your friends to buy one t-shirt, your parents will buy a t-shirt, your relatives will buy a t-shirt, and it looks very easy. Ki, Arey, ye to itna easy hai, right? Our designs are great, our product is great, website is great, brand is going to do really, really well. And when all your friends and family we call this a pity order, right? Ki matlab dost hai to chalo support kar lo. So I think in the first 1.5 months, you get a lot of these pity orders. You think everything is very easy, everything is going to be great. And I think once those pity orders stop, right, and then it's almost like you're pushed into the real world and you're going to see whether you're going to succeed or not. In that second, third, fourth month, right, when the orders slow down and you have to actually try building a brand that is not restricted to your friends and family but the whole country, I think that is when you really realize कि boss ये इतना easy नहीं है. That's when the struggle really, really comes in. And I think that's when you get that reality check. Ki, boss, it's going to take a lot of hard work trying to convince people to spend their money on your product and not someone else's. So I think be prepared for the grind for sure. It's not as easy as it looks in the newspapers. Every company does not become a unicorn. Every company does not go public. It takes a lot of hard work behind the scenes. So think of it like a marriage, right? If you're ready for a long-term commitment, give it your 200% and hopefully you will do really well. But if it's something that you're 50-50 about, do not start it because I want to go and tell friends कि मैंने खुद का company start कर लिया, right? That's the worst reason to start your own company, because you're going to have challenges every day. You're going to have setbacks every day. And if you're not willing to put that hard work and actually push through now, it's going to be a very, very difficult journey. So I think definitely if you're excited about it, you're passionate about it, you can succeed, but make sure that you're doing it for the right reasons.
Got it, sir. So before we end this question, one last question. Before we end this
Sure.
podcast, one last question. If I'll not ask this, my friends will kill me. So basically, most of the people who will be watching this will be of my age group, as in somewhere between 18 to 25. And they want to
Okay.
know that how they can get into a source store as interns. So what is the internship process like, and how can they reach out to you or to anyone from the source store?
No, definitely. I think, I mean, we are always open to hiring more and more people. We love young, excited people, being a part of our journey. So if anyone is interested, you guys can just simply drop an email to hr@thesoulstore.com. You can mention the position that you're working for, a covering letter, and your CV. You can feel free to mention this podcast as well if you feel it's going to help you get the internship faster. So yeah, I mean, our HR team is super prompt with replies. You will not have a situation कि मैंने CV भेज दिया and एक महीने के लिए I have not gotten a response. So our HR team is super prompt. Please feel free to reach out to us. I have a surprise for all the people listening in and for Animesh's friends and family. And I promise you, this was not planned before the podcast, but I'm just feeling generous right now. So to everyone listening in, I'm going to give you guys a special customized discount code called HL25. It's HL25. You can actually use it to get a 25% discount on the Soul Store app or the Soul Store website. So yeah, feel free to use it, and you can always thank Animesh for getting access to this code, which I normally don't give to most other people.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for being generous, and it was great to have you over here. So before the start of this podcast, as I told you, I was super nervous because the aura around you is so cool. As in, you have attained what most people.
I take that in a negative way. That means I feel like I'm not approachable. So I hope I've been a little more friendly and approachable and chatty in this podcast.
No, of course you have been approachable, and it was great to have you over here. So
Awesome. Thank you so much, Animesh. It was really fun chatting with you as well. Thank you so much for this.